Admit on the top.
I just put it right there. Copy.
Okay, and then.
Well, like I did it like.
Okay, thank you.
So.
Yeah, I never do that. I'm not a full screen kind of guy.
I see. Okay.
I always like moving things around. Or Alt Tab. Alt Tab.
Yeah.
All right, I think I got everybody back. So tomorrow. And Mateo, I'm sorry. What do I do with that now?
You can just sign in.
Just sign in again? But it's not audio.
For that one, it's fine. Just through the. So through the laptop where you're signed in, you don't want to have the audio on, but for here, it's fine. So that way you can do it. And this is like it's on a participant, so this isn't how you record meetings or anything because you do that from your end. That makes sense though. Yeah, no, I did a project on it.
Okay, so. Yeah.
Hello.
I'm not.
Can you guys hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh?
That's just turn on the volume.
I only went when I was too young to remember.
We can't see the main class. All we see is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay. You know. Okay.
What you do with this guy? If I were you, what would you do then? Nothing. Nothing at all. What about that guy? Really, I'm sick of these charades.
Selfies? What are selfies?
Purple,
The
purple sauce.
humans
I'm just not in the mood today.
Yeah, they're gonna open up. Starting tomorrow.
I sacrificed my life.
That is very weird.
Today.
Oh, I think I saw that. There's like a, it's kind of like a Secret of the Cults.
And what do I get?
Yes.
What?
Yes, it's like Secret of the Cults.
Nothing.
Maybe.
I get nothing.
There's
Look at this
a
perfect
sequel.
guitar. Nice fat tone.
I think it looks like a regular guitar.
Oh, it's a real thing.
And then like
I thought it was like a sequel.
then like.
No, I don't.
What? Come on.
Yeah, you're right. Like it was like.
Come on. I don't know.
Read magazines with me. I just don't have that. It's literally falling apart. What do we do? How do we save this? No. So that's not.
Okay, absolutely.
It could be law, I could make it.
Oh.
It could be slime. Want this to be slime law? Is that what you want? I just reincarnated as a slime. It's a slime law. And now I have to defeat the dragon's credits. Yeah, exactly. Imagine.
That's probably. Wait,
Yeah,
so
he's a guy. Dude, these are so funny. You can have one, so it's technically, it's like a really like satirical one. They're like, is it an easy one? Kind of. It's like sort of ish.
Oh.
Just one more thing. Why can I see them on my screen? I'm not doing
Oh.
You form plan, you can't see them on the,
Yeah, I can't see them on the big screen.
That's because
You're sharing something right now, but it's also.
sounds like undertones of like.
Okay.
So if you go to view here, you can adjust. You want to see thumbnail,
Okay.
speaker, gallery.
So that you can see me now? Everybody can see me. And can you hear me now? Can I hear you or are you just muted?
Yeah,
you're muted.
we can
Yes,
hear you.
we can see and hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I would like to do is I'm gonna just check their drawings because their drawings aren't on canvas yet.
Okay.
And I'm gonna take your drawings and I'm looking at the kitchen shot that we were looking at.
Mhm.
Then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a little demo of going from script to thumbnails to the little template that I just gave you. Well, them, sorry. All right, so let me take just a moment. All right, so just really quick, let me see your kitchen map. Okay, let's put it on canvas. Okay.
I guess good.
All window.
Hurts my eyes.
More.
This is all kitchen map.
Sadly, you cannot control how bright they are.
Yeah.
I don't hate on paper, I just think it's,
Because you don't like the style.
well, paper's really.
Okay, this is pretty good. You can see here that this is a little more squished than the 16:9. See it? So you're using your template. Did you use this?
Yeah.
So your template might not be the exact
How was your meal?
measurement.
Oh.
It's close, it's close. Hey. Sneaking in. So yeah, this is okay.
Hannah,
Check here.
Check.
How are you? Okay, did you talk to Paul? With the paperwork? Did you give him your paperwork?
Yes.
Because I didn't see your name, so I don't know if I'm supposed to see her.
It didn't, and I don't know.
All right, let me make a note, so I'm gonna email him. Okay. And it's H-A-N and A, right?
Just H-A-N.
Just like that.
H-A-N, then just A.
A. All right. Good. It'll be in post. I have a special project to do in a
Oh,
second.
I found it. Is that it?
Kitchenette,
Okay.
are you doing the kitchenette now?
Yeah, I had some on paper, but I left it at home.
As soon as you're ready, let me know. As soon as you're ready.
Okay.
Okay? That's
Oh my God, I never knew that. But I don't understand why they have to design it better. Yeah.
Okay, so this is okay. Camera might be a little far away, if that's okay. So this is what we're doing for the
Because I
kitchen.
really went to see this, like, lead fills, and they're like, yeah, we don't have any.
Is there like,
There's the packs.
I'll explain everything.
That's like, I don't need it. I just need it.
I think your camera's a little too far away. We'll go around.
Yes. My roll. I was just told to make a pose.
That's the first one?
I guess.
The bigger.
I don't know.
Oh, I see. So this is the end of it? This is the end of it. Okay. Oh, okay, good. Perfect. Okay, great.
No, I'm giving it a go.
Okay, we're doing, I'll do over again here in a second. We're doing, I think it was 8 panels. The show of story. I'll go over it.
So many questions about that, I haven't watched it.
I like the different size panels. That tells me they're thinking visually.
I think it's supposed to be like
Yep.
that. Probably.
Okay,
That's
good.
the only explanation for it.
I'm gonna pack that in.
Very good. Check.
canvas. We have a PDF.
So why are you square? You know, I go over 16 by 9 like crazy. The last thing I want is social media. So this is okay, go on to the next page. So sure, he kills himself, that's great. He goes into the netherworld. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, that.
Okay, we need to be working with that aspect of the show, right? Give me credit for it.
Oh, what is that?
And again, like I had said,
Oh,
was
Sailor Moon.
one of the things that
Oh,
I
I
was
can do
playing
one with
was
Sailor Moon.
playing with the
That's
idea of
cool.
saying, hey, let's
It's like
do
much
this one
better
in
than
Cutouts,
those
do
other
this one
like
in
wooden
Squares.
Oh, you're the one over
Oh, I
there?
can't move it?
Because of people like
You
you.
like the one over there?
Can I move that one?
So use this,
Yeah.
everything should be 16 by 9.
Cool.
And this
Oh,
one.
it's cool.
Okay, wow.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, the heels click too?
You broke it.
You
The
can't.
magnet came out.
Measure
No,
it
it's
out.
actually broken.
No, did I?
If this distance is the same.
Oh, okay.
as the outside,
You
but
can make him do a
this is a
handstand.
little
Okay,
strange.
so you can put it back.
Just use the inside.
Yeah.
Just use the
That's
inside.
so much better than the wooden ones?
Yeah, so this is good.
You mean the one over there?
Well, this is supposed to be a button.
Oh, no, that one's, wait.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm in those ones.
So, all right, I think it was everybody, did I miss, no, I didn't get it. Okay. What's going on here? Oh my God. Okay, so this is good. Let me make sure I give credit to Ashley.
Do you also need to upload it on?
Yes, I was just gonna say that. Checking things in class is great. I want it up on Canvas. So those are $75 a piece. Can you believe that? So the first thing that I would like to do is just make a note for myself. I am going to upload a JPEG that gives you a different explanation of what I'm going to give you right now. So I'm going to draw on this part of the board so that the online people can see. And then I'm going to take a picture of it so that I'll put it up on both sections. But here's the idea. You have got a piece of paper that you've drawn on. And most of you are drawing manually. Most of you are drawing on paper, so that's fine. If you're drawing digitally, all you would have to do is export a series of JPEGs. You put them in a PDF. So we're going to do two things right now. We're going to talk about photographing your work. And file names. Sorry, I know you can't see it, but that says photographing your work and file names. So you've got a piece of material here, a piece of paper that you've drawn. Move this down a little bit. All right, and you want to get this recorded. So how many of you are going to be using your cell phone to record? How many of you are going to use a scanner? Scanner is ideal because then you don't have to worry about certain things. Let me see the hands over here.
No, phone.
Scanner?
Phone.
Phone. Phone. All right, so a scanner is easy. This side view of the scanner, you just open it up and put it in there, and it's nice and flat. Like I said last week, I'll repeat it again. I like to scan things at 600 DPI. As long as you have space for it on your desktop, on your hard drive, 600 DPI is a nice fat image. Right? It's big, it's juicy, they're not going to get any jaggies in there. If you're using your cell phone, there are a couple things that you have to consider. One is that your camera has to be perpendicular. It has to be perpendicular to the artwork itself, so it's a complete right angle. And you have to be sure of this because you don't want any parallax. If you twist the camera even a little bit, that lens is really sensitive and you're gonna get some weird looking distortion, and you want that. So you wanna make sure that your camera and your artwork are perpendicular to each other. The next thing you have to worry about is distance. So I'm going to say 0.5 meters, just a half a meter. Because cell phones are notorious for not being able to focus close. So you're gonna have to figure out, half a meter is about like this, like a foot and a half. You have to test this. Taking a photograph with your camera is easy, it's free. It's not like it's costing you any money. It's if it looks like crap, then throw it away. So take a picture of it, look at it, make sure that it's perpendicular, that it looks like you're drawing. If it doesn't, throw it away. Got it? All right, exposure. The best idea is to have several indirect light sources. Now, what I always like to do is challenge your way of thinking in that if you've got an overhead light that's an incandescent, and you've got natural light through a window, cell phones are really good at mixing up color temperatures. They just figure it out and it's good. It's actually even better to have a couple of different kinds of light sources. So don't just use one. Cell phones are also really sensitive to shadows. So if you've got a little dangly bit of hair or something, it's gonna pick up a shadow like mad. The little chips inside the camera are really, really sensitive. So look at the exposure. Take a look at it. You're looking for shadows. You're looking for highlights. Right? All right, so this is the most important thing here. No parallax. Make sure it's in focus. That's what this distance means right here. And check for your exposure. Again, it's free, so look at the pictures before you send them to your computer. Look at them before you email them to yourself or however you're going to get them into your computer. Okay, questions, comments?
So what do you prefer? Physical or digital? So
Well, I want to see them physically here in class, but I also like to see them on canvas.
okay. Because like I'm wondering what format, because I'm okay with either, but I'm wondering like what do you prefer? Do you prefer me drawing on paper and photo scanning it? Or do you prefer me digitally drawing it and then
Let's
sending
start
it
with
to you?
paper first.
Okay.
Start with paper first, and if you want to try the digital thing, let me know, and
Because I'm comfortable with either.
start with paper first.
Okay.
This next project will be, well, you have two projects. You'll see it. You have the comic book, which is just 4 panels of anything that you would like, and then our kitchenette here, which I'm going to explain again here in just a moment for all of you. And I'm giving you a completely different thing to do, if you didn't know that.
I did
Okay. Completely different. Okay. All right, and then so this is all double checking. This is all double checking here. All right, any other questions? Zoom? You're all okay?
Yeah.
All right, so then the next thing is file names. In a typical camera output, these become HEIC files. That's the extension. It's not a JPEG, it's not a PDF, it's an HEIC file. High, HIEC. High efficiency, something compact folder. The image is not really, it's not really an extension, it's like a folder. But you don't have to write that down. I'm not going to quiz you on HEIC. but you can't send that to me. You can't do anything with it. If you get JPEGs on your phone, that's great. So you have to check and see what kind of file type this is, because I don't want the HEIC files. If you get JPEGs, those are great. JPEG, Joint Photographic Experts Group. That's what JPEG stands for. Joint Photographic Experts Group. Everyone okay? Do you know what comes out of your phone? If you're taking a picture on your phone and you manipulate, you do a little image fixing or whatever, and then you upload it to Instagram or Facebook, it doesn't matter what kind of file type it is. Your application figures it out. This is the international nonverbal gesture for figures it out. But for us, it's going to have to be a JPEG. A JPEG is a form of compression. So that means it's not an extremely detailed file anymore. The JPEG is already starting to be compressed. All right, so now the best thing that you can do is put it into a PDF. As we go through our class here, most of the files I would like can either be a series of JPEGs or a PDF. PDF, portable data format. That's what that acronym stands for. If you're in Photoshop, you can load a bunch of pages with a whole series of JPEGs in them and then export as a PDF. You can load up a whole bunch of JPEGs in Photoshop and export as a JPEG. There's lots of different options. But I want to make sure that you're giving PDFs or JPEGs into Canvas. This is ideal because you have multiple pages. If you can figure out, as we go through the semester, how to put 12 JPEGs on, or 12 images on one JPEG, that's fine.
As opposed to JPEG, is PNG still good?
PNG is fine. PNG stands for Portable Network Graphics. PNGs are fine. Targets, TIFFs, PSDs are fine, but I don't have anything, I don't have anyone who's having a phone that saves photographs as PSDs. I don't think that's even possible.
You can save them in files.
Well, I know you can, but a PSD is native to Photoshop document. No one has Photoshop on their phone. Does anyone have Photoshop on their phone?
I don't think it's possible.
I don't know if it's possible, especially these days with the web. All right, so everyone okay here? In Canvas, I want to make sure that you're giving me either PDFs or JPEGs with multiple JPEGs inside it, or PDF with multiple JPEGs inside it.
So you either want PNG or JPEG, you don't want anything else. That's what I got from that.
Yeah, PNG is fine too. You know, whatever on the board up there.
So just standard PNG, JPEG, anything else, probably not, but
Yeah,
otherwise.
I gotta be able to see it. I have a Mac at home, and if you're giving me files that I can't read, I'm gonna just not be able to see them. What? Yeah, you're scaring me. Okay, file names now. File names. The first rule, file names have to be short. As short as possible, 8 characters or less. Usually 8 is the target. Usually 8 is good. 8 or 10 is fine. Over 10, I'm gonna start flipping out on you.
What do you mean by characters?
So here's an example. I'm going to just say my final file is Billy B _ W1 for week 1 _ version 2 .pdf. So this file name has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you all can get away with that too. So capitals mean something. That's the next rule. Capitals equal important. So I have BB, that's me. If I look at my roster, I don't think anyone's got the same initials. Aha, Jamar and Juan, but Juan's not here.
Juan was in the video chat a minute ago before you logged us out. I know that.
He
Oh,
was.
oh no, that was Jose. Sorry,
Yeah, it was Jose.
I thought for a second. Yeah.
Why is he raising his hand?
Billy, right here. Right here.
Oh, yeah. So if this is, so if that's confusing to you, then what you can do is instead of your initials, you can just write Billy. You can just put your first name. Short, capitals are important. No spaces whatsoever. No spaces. Those are the first main three rules of file name. These should be mimicked in all of your other classes. If your professors are allowing you to just give you, for you to give them files that are named with all these crazy names, then they're out of their minds. This is industry standard. I've worked at animation industry, animation studios, game studios, schools all over the place. Everyone has their own different way of doing it. This is one of the best ways of file naming. Short as possible, 8 characters is ideal. If you have to use your first name instead of your initials, that's great. Capitals are important, no spaces. For your own file management, here's something to think about. If you have a whole bunch of classes and you got winter or whatever, autumn 2022, spring 2022, of a folder for just all the classes you have for Kenyatta, you probably don't want to put BB, your initials, on every single file. That would be kind of silly. So that's why I put the initials or your name here first, so that you can add it when you're delivering it to me. It would be silly to have a hard drive full of all of your work, and it has your initials on it, unless that's the way you like to work digitally. Work clean. You can mix this around. I think that you can put your name at the end if you'd like. There are other variations. Just work the same way. Be consistent with how you work. Okay, any questions, comments, complaints, conundrums? Okay, so let me switch cameras and go over this assignment one more time, and then we'll take a short break. And I'm going to switch the camera. Let's see if I can do this. Let's see my camera. Where's my camera? I see this up there. You all can see this, right?
In the online view,
Yeah.
yeah, we can switch between seeing you in real life and seeing the computer,
Oh, hold on a second.
and we can also see the desk with a different one.
Is it? There. Oh. How do I turn this off?
You mute one camera and leave the other one open.
All right, how about that?
Yes, we're seeing.
Okay.
sounds good.
Turn one mic off, I think.
All right. How do I get them to be able to see just that window? Pin? No, why wasn't this working?
What are you trying to show? The computer or the
Well,
desk?
you all can see me in this window, right?
We can see the
But when
desk.
you're in the classroom, it's like this tiny little thing up there. They can't see it.
No, we can swap to that. I was letting us swap. No,
I think it's because you're screen sharing.
Which one?
What are you trying to do? I don't know what you're.
I'm gonna use this camera to show you what I did for my demo last week,
Oh,
but you all don't wanna look at that tiny little thing up there.
Oh, I mean, that's not for everyone, that's for just you.
So how do I get that to be big for you?
Well, oh, for us, oh, so you wanna click on
Oh.
Zoom? You wanna click on Zoom? And then click your camera. Click your camera. No, click your camera, the one that you wanna show, click it.
This one?
Yeah, click it, just click the camera. Not the icons, just the.
just click the screen.
Yeah,
There you go.
just click this.
This is a microphone.
No, just
No,
click
click the whole
this-
thing.
ju-
The big
just
one.
the-
Yeah.
I'm
just
clicking
click
it.
your just.
Oh, you're clicking it?
I'm clicking it,
Oh.
Yeah, just
and it's giving me
stretch it.
this.
It's gonna work.
Remove all spotlight. Well, I mean, what spotlight? Spotlight.
Oh, because it's between that video and the other webcam video that he has through, because he's got two going right now. One of them is Spotlight.
All right, let me,
Well, then switch, yeah.
No,
you
wait,
wanna
wait,
do
wait.
that. You wanna do
Remove
that.
Spotlight, yeah.
Yeah, you wanna do that.
was that a hand raising or stretching?
Huh?
She's raising her head.
Oh. Yeah. you-
'Cause I think
you
the way
wanna
we did it-
spotlight- You wanna spotlight that. You wanna spotlight that camera.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Spotlight for everyone.
Yeah,
And then you can maybe
Continue.
maximize Zoom.
yeah, continue. Okay.
Continue,
Yeah,
unmute, I'm gonna get
Later.
echo.
Later.
Later. There you go.
it should, why isn't it working?
It's not working, everybody.
What?
Oh, that's a Windows screen
Oh,
share.
cause it's
That's
your
a
screen,
share.
cause it's your screen, you have to like, maximize Zoom, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
just
you
click your Zoom,
just close the screen share option. No, close it.
close it.
There you go. And not that Zoom.
This is just
Your
a,
actual
this is just a
Zoom call.
dialogue box.
Maximize your Zoom call,
Yeah, maximize your, yeah,
not Zoom, your call.
yeah, there's different.
There you go.
Here, this one?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, not,
Click the grid,
yeah, there we go.
now, like, make the screen bigger for that one.
Oh, yeah, you can just drag it up to like the corner.
Yeah, just make it full screen, yeah, and then now click your camera. Click your camera, yeah, that one.
That's not a camera.
Not
this
the
is-
No,
icons,
not the icon,
the
the-
actual,
Click your window.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
there you
one,
go.
yeah, continue.
Hmm.
Huh, what?
Wait, let me switch.
It's not working.
Rabbit and.
Zoom, usually you're able to, maybe if you
My shoes.
The way we did this last week is I was showing you the video through the animation application.
Yes, it
And
was.
Crystal was giving me the evil stink eye the whole time. Because it was really small with that too.
That's not how it works. Interesting, okay.
Is it trying to screen share? It looks like it's trying to screen share.
Right now,
You are
still?
screen sharing.
Where?
Stop screen share.
Where is it screen sharing?
At the bottom.
Oh.
There is a green button.
Share?
Yes.
Yeah, no, just click
But
your.
is it
No,
still
no, double
recording?
click that, double click.
Yeah, it's still recording. I
Oh,
can
no,
see-
no, no, double click just maximizes the whole, that's awesome, okay, let's see. View, here we go.
Yeah,
Speaker, don't go speaker, it's the only other option.
And then everybody else has to mute? I don't,
We can see him, but we
No, there
can
we go.
also see the.
oh, there you go,
For you.
just minimize that,
There you
yeah,
go.
there you go.
Oh, I don't know what you did. You did
it's
it, but I
minimized,
don't know
it's
what you did.
minimized. So then you can just hit, when you're done with this, you can just
Escape?
hit escape.
So what did you do to make it big?
I hit switch speaker. I went to view and I switched it from gallery to speaker.
Okay, do it again.
Gallery? Or put it back? Oh, it's already there.
So
You
the
just
other
need to-
option was full screen.
Yeah.
Is that what you did? View? Full screen?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Now everything's upside down.
I don't know how to fix that one.
All right, this is just a demo, so let me,
Now it's upside down for us here on online.
No, flip
No,
it,
it's
flip
not
it.
upside down.
It's not upside down, just flip it back normally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now it's
Yeah.
actually fine for us.
oh,
It's fine for us too.
why did it look like it was upside down?
I don't know.
All right, so remember everyone that what I was giving you is a PDF, and I'll make sure that those are up on Canvas, is the dimensions for, well, this is the dimensions for the paper cutouts that some people have today, which I think is a really good idea. And this is part of the PDF that's already loaded up to Canvas. Everyone has this. And this is a full-size board, which is 4 by 2.5, and this is a really good thumbnail size. And like I said, just when we opened up our class today, that I will put this one up as soon as I get home. Because even if this is flipped, the words are backwards. But that's just because this is a crappy camera here. But you just draw. You just draw whatever you want to draw, and then you put this over top of what you've got, and then put your borders on it. Again, the very last thing that I want people doing is just getting a series of boxes like this for their storyboard panel, and then just coloring them in. I don't want you doing that. So when you're doing a shot like this, the first thing you need is your script. And it's weird that it's flipped. Hannah, what
I
did you
prom-
do?
It's not
I
flipped.
promise you,
No,
it's not
it's
flipped
not.
here online. Here online, it's perfectly fine.
But it says, oh. Oh, that's. what
Okay,
you
so
want.
you people on Zoom win. It's
Yeah.
flipped, it's flipped horizontally for us.
For us, it's perfectly fine.
That's what I mean by you win. Everyone in the classroom here is
Oh, I
suffering.
know what it is. For your video. No, I know what it is. I know what it is. I hate that thing because whenever I move my head this way, it goes the opposite
Yes.
way. It's that thing that I hate. How do you do that?
I don't use Zoom enough to understand. Oh my god, that's awful.
There.
Yay.
You can still see it well? Okay, good. So you get 2 class points.
I do?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, starting with the script. Starting with the script, this is just a review. I'm sorry, we have so many technology problems and name problems. I apologize. You're allowed to dress like me and follow me around.
Oh my God, I've been waiting for that for my whole life.
Your script, when you're doing storyboards, when you're doing your own storyboards, sometimes as a storyboard artist, you are given a script and you just draw. But for you, especially for the thing that we're going to do later, is I'm going to say, hey, you have to come up with a script. When you're doing a script, you should always do the verbs. You should always just do the action words. So the action words here for your idea of this short film is that a character is walking in. Thomas? Okay. They're walking to the kitchen. They're going to pour themselves a glass of water. All of a sudden, I'm from Long Island. They turn, they walk away, they slip, they fall, they smack their head, and they go into another world, a nightmarish other world. That's the script. Obviously, you can have other things in the script, but these are the verbs. These are the action words for your script. If a character walks in, pours a glass of water, turns, walks to go walk out, slips, falls, smacks their head, goes into a nightmare, this could be 10 seconds worth of film. It could be 15, depends on how you want to handle it, right? So that's how you deal with the script. For us, for here, for right now, I have examples, I don't know where I put them, of real scripts. This is from The Wizard of Oz. So you can see that what we've got here is a camera direction. And again, we're not doing this, right? We're doing this. That the camera trucks in, it rises. She's standing right, which puts Toto in the basket? Dorothy's left. Here's the witch's dialogue, here's Dorothy's dialogue. Which, Dorothy, and you always center those in the middle of the page. This is what a typical script looks like. And it goes page after page after page. Just for your information, in Hollywood, a script that is 1 page long is somewhere in the neighborhood of 45 seconds. Generally, plus and minus. So if you have, it could be a minute, it could be 30 seconds. But if the director producer gets a script that's 200 pages long, they know how long about your film is. For us, we're just going to do this. We're just going to write the script out. In writing the script out, we start. And this is our background. We just decided we're going to use 16 by 9. We're going to use a horizon that's right in the middle of the page. And the first thing that we need to do then is populate this with a map. So here's our map that we did last week. And you always have to do this for me. You always have to start with a map. For every shot needs a map. Actually, let me rephrase that. Every scene needs a map. And in every scene, just like you remember from our little demo last week, which I'll do again very quickly right here. And this is just a quick review, is that if you have got two characters in a map sitting at a round table drinking a coffee, and one character sitting here, this is character A, over here this is character B, there's a background over here. This is what's called the 180-degree line. This is a 180 line. Your cameras are not allowed to go on both sides of this line. So if I have a camera right here in the middle, what this camera sees, and I'm just going to close in my 16 by 9 ratio. There's my horizon. Where the first thing the camera sees is this little table. Then it sees character B, the cup of coffee. Character A are both in the same kind of orientation. So character A is on the left, character B is on the right. And now they have chairs. In this shot, what this camera sees is the same horizon, the same table, but now character B is really big in camera. Line of action. And character A is really small. Chair, coffee cups. Often this character is in silhouette because they're so big. But character A and character B are in the same orientation. If I have a camera over here, what that camera sees, same horizon, same table. Now character A is really big. It might be even over the shoulder for character A. And again, it could be in silhouette. And this demo is really good because what I just did here with these two different poses is I made sure that I did the head, the body, the line of action, so that I got the proportions correct for that character, but they're off the screen. So don't just try to fill in the little boxes. Character B is over here, and there's their coffee cups. Sense of perspective. So this becomes really, really important for you just when you're doing storyboards. All right, so there's my map. My map has the bird's eye view of the kitchen. I see the sink, countertop, refrigerator, window. The character is going to walk in here. They're going to pour themselves a drink of water and lead by the same way. Again, this is a scene. And these are my cameras. So we talked about this last week, that the camera is here. It's in a mid shot. The camera can either turn where the camera can duck, truck, or follow, but we decided the camera was going to be a static camera. You can use anything you want. Let's set this aside so I can see it. And the first thing that I do is draw my first panel. So my first panel here is panel number 1. And I left that blank because this is a title card. Panel number 2 is an establishing shot. And I just have the exterior of a house with a tree and another tree. I think this is already up in Canvas, Thomas. So then panel 3, which you always number your panels consecutively, is shot number 1. So actually, this establishing shot we decided last week was this establishing shot is not shot 1. This is shot 1. So I just draw what the kitchen sees. So I draw what this camera sees. I see that there was a tabletop here. So I just drew the thumbnail for the tabletop, the countertop, the window, a tree outside. Here's the refrigerator. This is basically the interior of the kitchen. In this shot, I have a background through the window. I have a midground, which is the kitchen counter, and a foreground, which is this tabletop here. Everything's conforming to a horizon and a vanishing point with perspective on the ground plane and perspective up in the sky. That's panel number 3. Panel number 4, all of a sudden the character starts to come in, so I reproduce everything I did here. And I think I did a little thing last week where I showed you that one thing that you can do is trace your kitchen back. So I put trace right here. And in this view, I would actually trace this a little better so that when you get to panel number 4, you can slide this under your paper to get a more accurate trace. Then you can put your character in it, head, line of action, just mid shot, and then stop for a moment and go, hey, what does my character look like? And I asked every one of you to use just a typical character build. Head, a line of action is always a curved S shape. This character has a bean-shaped body, arms, legs, and they're about that tall. Then you can put them into panel 4. And then you can start to put them into panel 5, again, using the trace from the kitchen, going to grab a cup from the counter, the cabinet, and then giving themselves a drink of water down here. And then they turn and start to walk. And then this shot is continuing. And then in panel 9, this character falls. And you can see here that I've stopped drawing all the details for the panel. In the storyboard world, you can just write T/B for trace back, just for efficiency, until the director gets an idea if that's what everything is approved. The character falls, so you can see that you can put an arrow here. Ah! You can put motion lines and blur lines. We talked about a camera shake. So here, a camera shake is actually indicated on the storyboards by putting little shaky lines out in the corners. So imagine the corner is making a counterclockwise and a clockwise rotation at the same time. So a little corner just goes like this, left and right. Camera shake, camera shake. All right, and then we said fade to black. And I did a little dissertation on that in a camera sheet. This is panel 11, and this is 100% exposure. And then this goes down to 0% exposure. And then panel 12 comes up from 0% exposure to 100% exposure. And then that's where you can do the fantasy sequence for this assignment. So this is a fade.
Sorry, exposure. What's exposure?
You take 100% of the exposure, your camera is there, it's 100% lit, and you take the iris down, it becomes black.
Oh,
So
it's like a fade to black.
This is a fade to black.
And then it's a back.
And this is a fade up from black. So this is 0% exposure. This is 100% exposure. This also is 100% exposure.
Oh,
So this is a fade down. This is a fade up.
how much light, how much like vibrance is in the
like, I don't.
Well, it depends on how many frames you use. So in this example here, I have not given this any number of frames, but this could be 1 whole second. I can go from 100% exposure for panel 11 to 0% exposure on panel 11 in 12 frames at 24 FPS, that's a half a second. And then 0% exposure for panel 12 up to 100% at the end of 24 panel frames, which is a full second. So it's just a half a second, down and up. It's just really, a fade down and a fade up mimics a sense of time. So if it's really quick, then that means the amount of time was really quick. If I fade to black over 5 seconds, which is 96 frames, and then fade up again from 0 to 100% exposure for 118 frames, that's 10 seconds. That could be a week that's gone by, or the character has been incapacitated for a month, depending on what you do with your sequencing and your story. But it could be really quick, it could be really fast. Okay, so then I explained last week that you can also have what's called a cross dissolve, where panel 11 is fading down from 100% to 0, and panel 11 is 12 is coming up from 0 to 100% at the same time. And this is called a DX, or a cross dissolve. It's just because it's motion sensitive. If you go out in the hallway, the lights will come back on.
Oh, no, not that.
What did you see?
I wanted to put my notebook together because as
What
soon as I
did you
took it
do
out,
to it? You
fell apart.
destroyed it.
My dog got to it.
All right, so do I have any questions about this? So this is a fade down, a fade up, and a cross dissolve,
I
yes.
still.
You're supposed to put that in between 2 panels.
Well, I did, because if this character falls and hits their head,
Now, placing that when you're drawing it. The fading.
so if they fall and hit their head, I said fade to black right here last week, and that's what this is. And last week, right at the end,
Where are you supposed
I
to
told
place
you
it
that
when
you
you're
could do a
drawing it?
cross dissolve.
But where would you put that?
Right,
when you're
so
drawing it?
this right here is actually between panel 11 and panel 12. So so if you're doing your boards like this, well, this is not a good example, because these are just the ones I don't use. But if you're using like full-on production boards, you would just write DX 48 frames. And that tells everyone that you're going from 100% exposure on this panel down to black, and 100% at the same time DXing from this panel, whatever this number is, to this one, the same time. Or if you're just gonna write fade, you could write fade to black. You could do it right here, or you could do it in your directions here. You said fade to black.
Okay.
And then if you want to be specific, you could just put a very careful line through here and say, this is just black. So you fade to black, and you're gonna say, I don't know how long this is gonna be, because I don't know, I haven't done my test yet. And then here you say fade up. All right, so remember the last thing that I wanted to make sure that everyone was on the same page
I'm
about,
confused with the DX is.
the gesture.
Or no, like the multiple fade up like things, because my understanding there could only be one, where you fade down and fade back.
Right, you can only use one at a time. So you can either fade down and fade up, or you can cross dissolve.
Yeah, what is cross dissolve?
That means that one is right in the middle right here, you can see both panels, like a double exposure.
Okay,
So
from
it's-
one scene to another.
Oh, so it's like
A double exposure, you're fading one camera in and fading another one out.
it's like in the midpoint, it's like you see both images at the same time.
And that's why, if I say double exposure, that's why it's called DX.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so that's like when something is like fading into another, like okay, I think I get it.
But, you see this little icon? See this little icon right here?
Yeah,
There's double X's. You see the two X's?
yeah.
So not only is it double exposure, but the DX means there's two X's.
That's a good way to remember it.
Yep, that's how we always remember it. All right, then one last thing before I give you your break. Slugging the boards. This is just a review. On the left side, kind of what is always on the left, upper left. Panel number, correct. They're numbered sequentially. If you skip a panel, skip a number. This over here is your shot number. So, and I'm going to write it up here. You would just write SH01. And again, I'm going to keep this really short, following my directions for how you name your files. SH_01, shot 01. All right, this is my screen direction down here. What's in my bottom right?
Oh, me? The C? No, the
Frame.
Time. So 2 seconds.
oh.
Or at 24 FPS here, that'd be 48 frames. And you see 48 frames as 48 FR, or in my world, it would be 48 and a box with a line through it. And that's just an indication that this is a camera. All of that means the same thing. This is the slugging of the board. In some of your textbooks, this is just the slug.
Does that apply to all mediums?
Mostly animation, mostly storyboards for animation. Some live action films are storyboarded, and the slugs are going to look a little different. In live action, like the Coen brothers always storyboard every one of their films. Spielberg storyboards every one of his films. These slugs are in seconds. If you have a battle sequence where stuff is happening really, really fast, and each panel may only be 6 frames long, then you might get hours, minutes, seconds, and frames in the slug. So your slug might look like a digital slate right here, where you get 01.01.12.08 hours, minutes, seconds, frames. And if you do ever see this, these are usually generated digitally. If you ever see this, these are very, very rarely done by hand, because you don't want to make a mistake. If your characters are fighting and they're smacking back and forth, your shots might be 6 to 8 frames a piece. And so this slug for live action can be very specific. And slug for like No Country for Old Men, that was done in seconds. For animation, we can switch between seconds and frames. To be consistent, I would just stay with one or the other. All right, so that's just a review of the thing that was due today. Let's take our break. Let's take a full 15-minute break. I'm going to see if I can put the recording for Zoom on pause without breaking the internet. And Hannah, I want to talk to you. All right, escape and pause recording.
No,
We were talking about the conversation in class.
Okay,
Talk about the Disney Pixar.
perfect. All right, so I have just a little bit of a lecture for you. What I'm going to do is like 3 things all at once right here. I'm going to move this out of the way.
Well, that takes some practice. Like 1 minute time, that'd be good. So then you'll have to improve.
Create an object I cannot lift, so.
All right, I've given myself a bunch of little things to try to remember to do once I get back to my apartment. Not including just reviewing the idea that this is what a typical script from Hollywood looks like. And again, I apologize for the quality of the camera. We're not doing this. We are not going to be doing all this camera work and all this back and forth dialogue. It's way too much. I think that what we want to do is just look at physical acting for characters. And what I have on the board up there on the whiteboard, which I will do right this very minute to take a picture of it so I don't forget. And I know that I'm going to disappear out of the view from Zoom, but you have the California brown bear with me for just a minute. Or Klondike polar bear with me for just a moment. We'll take that. All right, so I've taken this picture. One of the things that I wanted to express about this series of notes right here, which I will add to as the semester goes along and read it. Off to the right, you can see that I've redone my little map of the people having coffee. The 180-degree line. Again, if your cameras are on the wrong side of this dotted line, you have a screen direction error. And I will catch it every single time. I've just been doing this way too long. So that's an important little key for you. And it should be in every single storyboard textbook ever printed.
So even if it's a really dynamic scene.
Different. If you have a fight scene, then you should have cameras that are all over the place.
Okay.
If you're talking about, I forget that movie, Braveheart. And I always hated Braveheart because it was way overproduced. There's a much better movie on Rob Roy, if you're interested. If you liked Braveheart, make a note for yourself to watch the movie called Rob Roy. It's an infinitely better film. And then a whole list of things where they have like the best sword fight of all time, you know, between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, whatever, you know, or Darth Vader and Luke, you know, those are sword fights. But the sword fight that's in Rob Roy is like voted #1 on a lot of different places. Sometimes it's #2 because the sword fight in The Princess Bride, if you've seen that movie, it takes like a full 10 minutes and it's brilliant. It's serious and comedy altogether, but the sword fight in Rob Roy, it's crazy. And the ending of the sword fight, it's like, oh my God, what did I just watch? Was that a question?
Is it realistic or is it like stylized? Wondering. Like realistic,
In
like
Rob
sword
Roy?
movements? Yeah.
It's extremely realistic.
Oh, yeah.
And you should just watch, you should watch the film.
Okay.
All right, so one of the things that I did here with our 5 sections of storyboarding competencies are art, animation, cinema, storyboard characters. We went over this week 1, went over this week 2, and I just kind of copied what's on that board and what was on the whiteboard over to here, but I added the idea of gestures. So we talked about gestures today. And saying all across the board that if you're doing gestures, animation is a line of action. You should not be drawing any character pose if you're not drawing a line of action first. And look, the line of action as it's here in cinema is actually the 180-degree rule. But remember that I cautioned you because in cinema, it's also called a line of action. So this part's just a little confusing. Because we're talking about curved lines, in story, it's the story arc. Does the story have an arc? We talked about this last week. It's in the notes. Look at the notes. It's the beginning, middle, end. It's Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. And in the character section, it's character arc. Does a character grow? Is your character fully developed enough so that your audience has empathy with them? And then look, acting applies to all of this. So what I wanted to do is just take a moment of your day and talk about the idea of voice acting for just a moment. And I don't know exactly where this file is in my studio, but what I've got here is the greats of animation, like Jack Angel, has done hundreds of voices. Mel Blanc, June Foray, Sterling Holloway, Jim Henson, even Walt Disney had done voices at one point. Seth MacFarlane, who's like does tons of different voices. Frank Oz. I don't care if it's just puppets or Muppets. In this little widget right here, it has the picture of the actor plus all the characters that they're, and I can't see this myself. And even if I zoom in on it, that's a little hard to see. Billy Ward. So acting for us in animation is about voice acting. It's about voice acting. All right, so just keep that in mind. On the board, today, basically what I did is add acting to all 5 sections. It is about acting. Performance. Your characters should be performing. Okay. What we'll start on right now is just a list of story themes. And I'm not going to read through this, that would be obnoxious. I'm not going to read through this. It's just a bunch of places where you have to put your mind when you're putting a story together. And what we're going to do for next week is, and I'll show you this in just a minute, kind of sort of related this. I'm going to try to jumpstart your way of thinking while you're doing storyboards. And everyone's going to be given one of 2 different things. You'll see that I'll give you 2 different options. They're both kind of the same, but they're both in the I've never done this category. And I know that you've never done this because, well, if you have done this before, let me know. It'll be the first in all my 20 years of teaching storyboards. And I'll let you onto that in a second. All right, so what I have here is this, you know how you do a printer thing, you put a new ink cartridge in your printer and it makes you realign everything. It's like it's obnoxious. So I always use those to take notes. And so my notes for today, let me sure I did this. Okay, good. Was that I'm making a note for myself to remind myself that I'm gonna stop recording at 9 o'clock every week so that I can render and put the movie on my thumb drive so I can put it up on YouTube when I get home, because I don't want to sign into YouTube here. It's just too much back and forth. I can barely handle Zoom. All right, so what I've got here is the Greeks and Aesop and Homer calling himself a bard when they're telling stories. So this goes all the way back to the beginning of mankind. But we're really seeing the idea of what storytelling is because Aesop and Homer were writing them down. When I come down here, I have Grimm, the brothers Grimm, and you should know that all throughout Europe, especially Europe, fairy tales were being spread around the land. And in order to teach their children didactically, didactic means that you're teaching them how to behave. I forget where I wrote the word didactic. Is that they were writing down the tales that would ever come to them. And once they did that, the story stopped changing because they would evolve. As one family passed the story down to another, the dad, the mom, the older brother, the older sister would change the story to make it appropriate for whatever they were dealing with at that moment. But as soon as the brothers Grimm wrote those stories down, they stopped evolving. And it's something that you should know. I'm not going to quiz you on it, but just know when you hear the Grimm's fairy tales, once they wrote those stories down, the stories stopped evolving. All right, so, and I didn't put these in any kind of order, except I wanted to just talk about the Italians calling their idea of storytelling fabulous. And I thought that was just a wonderful word. Anna, you have that handout for fabulous in front of you?
Yeah, yes.
So this is really just quick for you. a composer of fables, a teller of tales, a liar. And at that point, I could say all stories are true. Some of them actually happen. So if you're interested, take a look at what a fabulist is. Aesop, Rudyard Kipling, Le Fontaine, E.B. White. There's just a couple of examples right there of what a fabulist is. Again, you can take photos of all that. All right, and then you have the different kinds of stories. So right here I have a legend or a myth. And in this class, I think that we're not set up to talk about and storyboard a legend or an epic or a saga down here at the bottom. We're not set up to do that. We might be able to talk about fairy tales. We might be able to talk about fables, which is a story that has a moral to it that involves animals. If it's a universal truth or a story that has a moral in it with humans, it's called a parable. We could talk about mythology, all you would like. We could talk about allegories and biographies. We could talk about fiction as a story. We could talk about anecdotes. You should know that if a story is described as a really long, winding story, it could be called a yarn. You've heard that word before in terms of story, a yarn, or a shaggy dog story, which is a yarn that has a really strange ending.
Sorry.
Jeez, oh man, Jamar. All of you people on Zoom scowl at Jamar for me. Give him one of these.
I'm scowling.
There you go,
Oh,
scowling.
I
away.
love you too.
Okay. I wanted to make a point. And I think I made this last week. I'll say it again. If you're watching a film, animated, live action, it doesn't matter. And you're watching that film and you say, wait, what? That could be because you weren't paying attention. But I know when I was watching The Batman a couple months ago, I said, wait, what? At least a dozen times. I hated that movie. It was too long. 3 hours, oh, you know, whatever. I can sit for 3 hours. You know, I'll watch, and you know this modern adage is that you have a mini series that is 20 episodes long. So you're basically talking about a 20-hour movie, or 28 episodes if it's Peaky Blinders. And you say to your family, hey, let's go watch a 28-hour movie, and Christo's family's going to go, are you out of your mind? But if you break it up into 28 episodes, like, oh, sure. Yeah, I'll do that, no problem. If you say, wait, what, too many times, that means something's wrong with the story. And in The Batman, like I said, at least a dozen times. And I'm looking at it from all of those points of view. Art, camera, direction, screen direction errors all over the place. I'm like, a character, breaking character, in and out of character, strange directorial decisions, extremely strange shots. Why is that shot even in there? And the ending was horrible. And I hate movies that have horrible endings. If a movie has a great ending, it has a good chance of being put in my ledger. So you're the audience. If you say, wait, what, too many times, there's something wrong with the film. And like I said last week and the week before, my job is to make sure that you are not allowed to sit there and enjoy a live action or animated film anymore. You have to be ripping it apart, tearing it apart, critiquing it, analyzing. Okay? Okay. In the essence of plots, if you look up the pure definition of what a plot is, and remember, I told you I was going to lecture, so don't yell at me. There are 7 different kinds of plots. Well, this is just what the electric internet has told me. Is that overcoming the monster, the rags to riches story, the quest, the voyage and the return, comedy, tragedy, and rebirth. And you can take issue with this. You can say, there's more than that.
I'm not laughing at your plots. I was reading the chat. I'm sorry.
You're allowed to laugh. I have Oh, here's the didactic thing. In a story. I should have started with this on day one. Something has to change. In order for it to be a story, a beginning and a middle and end, something has to change. If we're talking about two people that are just walking along and talking, that's like a really stupid story I don't want to hear about.
Oh, there's so many of those.
I know.
there.
Well,
It's
M,
so
F,
boring.
G, J. Is that how I just work that in there? All right, again, a didactic story is a story that teaches. Pinocchio is a story that teaches. And like I said, I'm really happy to know that Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is coming out in November, but so too is Robert Zemeckis' live action Pinocchio. There's a digital Pinocchio. I'm like, WTF? I just learned this like last night. What?
So.
No.
In your opinion, does a really good story have to have a lesson?
No. We went over this last week, actually. I was teasing one of my master's students because didactic means that it is teaching. It's a teaching moment. Pinocchio is a teaching series of stories. Stories are only there to entertain. That is the primary function of a story. Something has to change. And if it's teaching, that's fine. You could do that. Fables and parables teach, but they don't always say. You could just have it be entertaining. It could just be fun. It could be a ride. It could be an adventure. Right? It doesn't have to be didactic. It could be a thriller. It could be a romance or a romantic comedy. Oh my God. Or like in the sports-oriented story, some big accomplishment is being happened. A coming of age story, good and evil. And you'll see in just a minute where I'm going with this, because in the idea of an adventure or a puzzle type story or a game oriented story, and I should have put a exclamation point there because I always want to be careful. I always get my game students telling me that whatever game they're playing is a wonderful story, and it just bugs the snot out of me because the game never ends. And if the game never ends, how could it have a story arc? Don't scowl your eyebrows at me like that. No, if the game never ends, that means the story never ends.
Well,
I mean, that depends on
what game it is.
Yeah.
Some games have great narratives and great characters, but if the game never ends, then where's the story ending?
Walking Dead.
You ever
It
heard
has
of
a
Undertale?
whole story. It's
If
got
it
an
never
ending.
ends, then where's the ending?
It has an ending.
Then
There's a
how does the
final
game keep, oh, does the game end?
Yeah, and then
Well,
you,
then
you
that-
do a spin-off.
Then
Yes, the game ends.
Then if it does end, then I will buy into that.
And sometimes they have like multiple endings, like a choose your own.
Be careful with that one. Todd Rundgren tried this in the 1970s with music, and it was a complete failure.
But like that's what all the
Choose
story
your own
games
ending
are.
music?
Wait,
No.
True, true.
What?
I'm confused.
He did like a record where you could play the, or I think it was
like
an
Detroit.
8-track, where you could play the song and then pick your different ending, like clicking tracks to it, and it was a complete failure.
Wait, so
cool?
you gotta do that.
Oh, like you're a remix?
This game never ends. What game?
Well, whatever game, Angry Birds.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, no,
Angry
those
Birds
stories
doesn't have
don't-
a lore.
No, Angry Birds
There
does
is
not
an
have a
end
story.
for this game?
Yeah, Angry Birds doesn't have.
And Pokemon Go, every single character is the same character.
But Pokemon has a plot.
No, it doesn't. They're all fighting.
It
with each other.
has.
It's not a plot.
Yeah.
I need to start.
No.
I need to disagree with you, Professor.
Why you kill these poor animals in that?
You defeat the big bad at the end.
A
It's over.
plot has a beginning and a middle and an end. Pikachu is the same thing as Bulbasaur.
Well, like what about Detroit?
What about Detroit?
Detroit has a beginning, a bunch of different middles, and a bunch of different ends.
What's Detroit?
Detroit become human.
Well, I would have to look at it.
Life is strange.
But I'm
Yeah,
arguing with
life is
you,
strange.
and I love that you're arguing back because that means that you're paying attention. But if the story has an ending, if the game has an ending, then I will buy into it might be a good story. But like I just said here, if you're looking at that game that lasts 4,000 hours and you're like, wait, what? Anytime during that 4,000 hours, you're like, this is a really stupid story. Or it could be just really simple and it just repeats over and over again. It could be like the never ending story, which drives me crazy, or the cliffhanger, OMFG, like I hate cliffhangers. All right, I got you thinking, that's good.
Isn't that like, aren't cliffhangers good? Because they keep.
No, I hate cliffhangers.
Because they keep your audience engaged.
Yeah, for waiting for wanting you to buy tickets for the next movie.
Well, yeah,
What if
that's a
it's
success,
cliffhanger
isn't
that's
it?
just a cliffhanger, there's no next movie, no next book,
At the
nothing.
end of
it's
season
intended to
3
be
of The
like that.
Boys, they didn't wrap up it because they knew they were gonna do season 4.
Oh, yeah.
So
But serial television is a little different. That's the adage of me saying, let's go watch a 40-hour movie.
So you're saying the
so
house was
Star
all
Wars also applied to that because there's still movies about Star Wars into today. So
Yeah, they do prequels and origin stories within the Star Wars catalog. They started in the middle because Lucas knew that 77 was a great place to start. Luke on Tatooine. And R2-D2 and C-3PO was a great place to start. And they went to the end. You should know the ending. And then they went to the beginning. And that's
I
a frame.
kind of began from the ending and then I got back to the middle, this kind of stuff. Yeah, I never saw the whole.
And now we have what's the animated version? The Star Wars animated
The
one.
Disney spinoff.
Like, I know what you're talking
Star Wars.
about, but you gotta nail it
I
down.
like that one.
It's
Well,
way
no, it was
too
bought
many.
by Disney. They made it
He's
an
addicted
animated
to it.
spin-off.
I can't, the Mandalorian? No,
No,
That's live action.
That's live
That's
action.
the most, I think that's the most recent.
whatever that was. All right, so let me continue here.
Attack of the Clones.
So within this framework of all the different kinds of stories, I would like you considering focusing your efforts on whatever we do for the project in this class, on the entertainment part, on the cartoon, the animated part of it. We don't have to do live action. A lot of you tend to do things that are more live action or more game action oriented, and that kind of just always never really sits well with me. I would prefer more of the like we looked at a film last week called Feed the Kitty, Chuck Jones, where Mark Anthony is this big bulldog and he tries to scare the cat out of the backyard. And the cat's like, and he puts the cat crawls up on his back and falls asleep. And Mark Anthony falls immediately in love with the kitty. You should look at it, write it in your notes. It's called Feed the Kitty. All right. So in my notes here, again, we're going off script from whatever I've done in the past just a little bit, because I want you to think about writing scripts, and I want you to actually start this right now.
I do write scripts.
Well, I know, but we're going to do this right now for the specific project,
Okay.
right? And so next week, you can draw a little bit if you want, and I would prefer thumbnails, which again, I will do a reiteration of the thumbnails on this right here. But I want to introduce you to 2 different stories. Again, within this kind of theme right there. All right, so in order for me to do this cleanly, by the way, this was me just reiterating on the way of setting up a typical final shot of saying, I'm going to draw my horizon first. This is just a review. Then I draw my vanishing point, and I draw on my perspective grid, and a perspective grid in the sky. And in this example here, I drew the foreground first, FG, which was this volcano, and the smoke that comes out of it. And then I did the midground, and I did the perspective of the volcano to the vanishing point. And I followed the other volcanoes so that they were about the same proportion. And then the background was the horizon and all the stuff, the mountains and the ocean, whatever have you. So this is an example of background, midground, foreground. When you're doing thumbnails, it's not always easy to put the background, foreground, and midground in every thumbnail. But it's if you set your establishing shot correctly and your first panel of shot 1, you should be thinking background, foreground, midground. And this is on both of your canvases, right? Everyone okay? All right, so let me see if I can switch over cleanly here.